Halloween
forever.
So, got one for you here. Why didn't Lassie have to save Timmy on Christmas Day? I don't know, Brian. Why? Noel. You get it? Welcome, boys and ghouls, to another holly jolly minisode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian, and you ain't gonna hear, despite that perfect Steve impression I just did there, you ain't gonna hear our old pal Steve on this here minisode, because your boy is going solo, maybe for the first time ever, which is frankly a very weird feeling. I feel like I'm just talking to myself here, which is kind of strange. Obviously, I'm talking to listeners, but I'm not staring at Steve, which is, for maybe the first time ever. Actually, that's not true. I've done a couple of minisodes sans Steve before, but there were always other guests, I'm pretty sure. So I think this is the first time I'm going solo. Although we are going to have a fun little segment where I bring my chillins, my kids, into the mix for a short little segment. They really enjoy coming on here talking about their favorite Christmas movies once a year. So as is tradition, we'll do that here in a hot sec. I did actually think about whether it would be fun to just imitate Steve and just act like he's here and just like do like a Wilson version of Steve for the entire episode. But I figured that joke would get old pretty quick. But that was not Steve at the top of the show. So that, and frankly, it's rude of you and disrespectful for you to think that was Steve. Steve doesn't talk like that. Steve doesn't go duh before he says everything. Come on. It was a really good impression though. I'm not gonna lie. Steve is cussing me out as he's editing this right now, probably.
Where the fuck you get off talking to people about me behind my back going over my head? You motherfucker, you.
But yeah, so little different format, little switch them up, little switcheroo, little audible here. If you're listening to this in real time, this will be coming out a week from Christmas. And for those of you who, I don't know, live anywhere, especially near Western Pennsylvania, it feels like everybody in the whole damn world's sick right now. We actually had planned wherein my lovely wife, Kate, was going to jump on and help me out with this here episode, which she is off to do. We usually do split it up in December where we do some mini-sodes where Steve and I kind of do them solo with our own individual guests. Kate was going to be my guest again, but she is sick as hell and she can barely talk. She's just coughing up a storm, feeling real nasty. And she was thinking she would probably feel up to it today, but that is clearly not the case. So your boy's going solo. But like I said, I am going to bring the girls on for a little segment, my kids, for a short little segment to talk about some stuff as well, which will be a lot of fun. But what I'm going to talk about, broadly speaking, because again, we're not going to talk about the movie that Kate and I were planning on talking about. So like I said, I'm going to take this opportunity to do one of my favorite things, which is do these kind of list type discussions where we just go through and talk about a whole bunch of different movies, just kind of go down a list. Sometimes we do this with movies. I think we've done in the past. We talk about like our favorite Halloween costumes we had as kids. We've talked about our favorite Halloween specials, that sort of thing. So I wanted to do that, but I'm going to talk about some of my favorite underrated Christmas movies. I'm going to talk about primarily horror. I got a list here. I think there's 10 of them on the list. I think 6 of them are horror, 4 of them are non-horror. So we're going to mix it up, right? So if you're getting towards the home stretch of the holiday season, or listen, if you're like me and I start celebrating Christmas on Christmas, I go traditional 12 days of Christmas. All right. So I'm celebrating well into January. Fuck y'all. I'm still drinking eggnog, getting hammered until well into January. Everyone's back to work. I don't give a shit. I'm going full 12 days of Christmas, guys. If you're like that, great, you got some time left. But otherwise, for a lot of us, we're moving towards the end of the season. Maybe you've watched a lot of your favorite movies, your National Lampoons, your Home Alones, your Christmas Stories, right? Maybe you've watched your Black Christmas, some Christmas evil, perhaps Krampus, right? You've cranked out some of those movies, not cranked out to some of those movies. I'm saying you cranked them out, as in you watched them already. Your Muppet Christmas Carol, that's behind you, right? You've already watched that once or twice, and you're getting towards Christmas, and you're going, what else are we going to watch, right? I'm jonesing for something new, maybe something I haven't seen in a long time or that I've never seen before. Maybe I'll be able to give you a few suggestions here to take into the last week before Christmas. But before that, a couple other things we got to do at the top of the show. First of all, as always, if you do want to support us, a couple of ways to do that. Easiest way is to follow us on the social medias and follow / subscribe to the Old Porkcast on your Podcatcher app. So go on to the social medias, go on to Instagram, go on to the Twitter, search Halloween's Forever on pretty much any of them. I think we're actually Hallow Forever on Twitter, but go check them out. Give us a follow. We post some spooky, ooky shit and dumb nonsense on the internets quite frequently. So go check us out there. Also, go and do the old plus sign, the like, the follow, the subscribe on your Podcatcher app. We're on all of them. Check go on there. And then if you want to go a step further, which ain't that hard, guys, let's not pretend it's that big of a deal. Go on there. You go to the show page where you did that, like, subscribe, follow, whatever. You scroll down and it's going to give you an option to rate it. You give us the maximum amount of stars. Maybe you say it's 5 stars. And then underneath, you got to write a little comment. You just write, I like this show, right? Or whatever the hell you want to write. You can write an insult. You can call my mother names, whatever. Go down there, write a quick review for the podcast. Makes a big difference for us. It gets the podcast in front of more and more people. And then if you're already a fan and you enjoy the podcast and you want some bonus content related to Halloween is Forever, that's where the Patreon comes into play. You go to patreon.com/Halloween is Forever. Steve's got a bunch of cool stuff set up for you over there. You get some bonus content. You can give us $3 a month. You get a couple of little things, bonus content. You get listicles and reviews and all that kind of cool stuff. But if you go the $5 a month, which is really the deal you got to go after, you get access to the Discord where you can come on and hang out with us while we record. You can interact with us while we record, ask questions, make comments, make jokes, do fun stuff like that. Be part of the recording process. We've got some great patrons that do that frequently. That's a lot of fun. But also you get access to our Patreon exclusive podcast. It's called Family is Forever. Right. And we watch all the fucking Fast and the Furious movies. And you say to me, why the hell would horror fans be interested in watching every single one and listen to people talk about every single one of the Fast and the Furious movies? That's a great question. I'm not entirely sure. But if you like the podcast, you'll like this because it is genuinely fun. The movies are god awful terrible. Steve has tricked me into doing this. We just recorded the 6th one. So we're on the home stretch, but good God, they're so fucking terrible. So Steve, let's high point how this plays out. Steve kind of likes them more for just the silliness and the nonsense of it. I can't stand them. I think they're fucking just insufferable nonsense. If you like the Fast and the Furious franchise, that probably means you have a smooth fish brain. If you do, no, I'm just kidding. If you like it for whatever reason, I'm not judging. I'm being a smartass. If you like it, you're going to like us talking about it. If, like me, you hate it, you will also appreciate it because it's just basically me going through talking about each one of the movies and Steve just kind of egging me on and dragging me through the mud on all this nonsense and me just talking about how much I hate them and how stupid they are and for all the reasons they're stupid. But it is genuinely very fun to talk about. The last one we just recorded a couple of days ago, Steve and I recorded Fast and Furious 6 or maybe Furious 6. I don't know what the fuck it's called. It's one of those two things. And I think I laughed harder on that episode than any podcast ever, including all the Halloween is Forever episodes. There was a bit that Steve did that I genuinely thought I was going to piss my pants or vomit or both laughing. So we were just shitting our pants laughing on it. It's a lot of fun. I'm not going to spoil the gag, but you got to go and watch or listen to Family is Forever, because it is genuinely a lot of fun and really funny, I think. And we have a blast doing it. I just really genuinely hate watching the movies, and it's slowly ruining my life. So go to patreon.com/Halloween is forever. Sign up on the $5 a month level. Give us a couple bucks a month. Come on. That's like buying us a beer, for Christ's sakes. It's like buying us one beer to split between the two of us. Come on. And you get like each one of these episodes are at least 2.5, if not 3+ hours. So a lot of tasty content you're going to get in addition to the Discord and all that sort of stuff. So give yourself a little Halloween present. Or Christmas present, rather. I said Halloween because that's the name of the podcast. Give yourself a little Christmas present, or perhaps if you're listening to this and maybe you're listening to it in the car with your significant other, and you're thinking, "Hey, I need a little something extra," then I need to get them. I need to stuff that stocking just a little bit fuller. Go to patreon.com/Halloween is forever, and give them a fun experience. It's like the Jelly of the Month Club. It lasts all damn year long. And they're gonna love that Christmas present throughout the whole year. The whole year just keeps on giving. Okay. Also, I am drinking a beer. Yeah, I sure am. It's gonna be weird talking about it without Steve here, but here we are. Here's what I'm drinking. No surprise here, guys. I am drinking another beer from Burgers Brewing. They're my local spot. Buy a lot of beer from them. I am drinking this time. It's called Puddler. It's their Schwarzbier, the German style Schwarzbier, which is essentially a black lager, not too roasty. Let me give myself a little sippy here. It's got a little bit of roastiness to it, but not too much. Still pretty soft, but well attenuated, dry, super drinkable beer. Schwarzbier. I think of it as like it's like the German equivalent of Guinness, in that it is just really sessionable, really easy to drink. It's got some substantial character to it. It's got some malt complexity, but it's something you're just going to be able to drink a whole mess of. This one's under 5%. You can just get after this son of a bitch. I like this beer a lot. Felt appropriate for a cool winter's eve. In fact, tomorrow, here near beautiful Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I think we might get our first significant snow of the year. Ooh, going into the week of Christmas. How festive is that? Looking forward to it. So let's take a quick pause before we get into these movies, because I'm going to jump on over and I've recorded a little clip with my kiddos, with my daughters, wherein we talk about some of their favorite Christmas movies. They really enjoy doing this, and they're a couple of cuties. So let's snap on over there and listen to them talk about some movies, and then we'll come on back over, talk about some underrated Christmas movies with your boy. We're here for what has become kind of an annual Christmas time tradition, where we do a fun little segment with these two squids I have here. I have with me both of my offspring. You know what that means? Yeah. The fruit of my loins here. We have Maeve. Maeve, say hi.
Hi.
And we have Maggie. Say hi.
Hello.
And we are going to talk about Christmas movies. It's been a while since you guys... Was it last year that you guys... And what did we talk about last year when you guys were on for one of the Christmas episodes?
We did Nightmare Before Christmas, and we actually, I think we were on the last 2 years, if I remember. Because last year, I remember we did Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, well, this is our third Christmas, so that makes sense. I think we've done it every year. Do you remember last year when we talked about Nightmare Before Christmas?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah? All right, so we're going to do a little bit more, you guys are totally grown-ups now. How old are you again? How old are you, Maeve?
9.
How old are you, Meg?
Don't you know how old your child is?
No, I forget. Well, how old are you?
7.
Okay, so you guys are practically grown-ups now. So you've seen a lot of movies, right?
Yeah.
You've been alive for a lot of Christmases. So do you have some favorite Christmas movies, Christmas specials, maybe even episodes of TV shows that are Christmas themed that you want to talk about? All right, who wants to go first? Oh, both hands shot up here. I think Maggie, your hand was up first. So Maggie, which one do you want to talk about first?
Home Alone.
Home Alone. You like Home Alone, huh?
Yeah.
You want to hear something funny? When you were little, like you were really little, and your sister was obviously a little bit older, she had such a crush on Kevin McAllister.
I said I wanted him to be my brother.
You just, when you were like, I mean, you were like 2 or 3, you were like, I just like looking at him. Do you guys like the first Home Alone or Home Alone 2, the one where he's in New York, more?
Probably the first one.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about that movie? Tell me like one or two of your favorite scenes, like really funny or memorable parts.
When Kevin he has the TV show on and he has the gun.
Yeah. Yeah, when he's got him like when he scares the pizza guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Maeve?
I have 2 things to say. First of all, I like the first one better because I like when I just think it's funny how he's younger than me, and why is he so intelligent?
Yeah, I think it's because it's a made up movie.
Also, for all of you guys who haven't watched the third, 4th, and 5th, don't watch it. They stink.
Yeah, they're really bad. We've watched the 3rd one. Was it the 3rd one and the 5th one, or the 4th one and the 5th one we tried to watch?
We watched. Well, when we tried to watch the 5th one just came out I'm pretty sure it came out this year or the year before. So we watched the 3rd one actually.
Yeah, they stink on ice.
They all have him going like putting his hands on his face, going like in the camp.
Yeah, on the poster, like when you on the streaming service. I used to think that I liked the second one better because I love Tim Curry. You know, Tim Curry he's the guy who plays the butler, not the butler, but the guy, the concierge, the guy who works at the hotel. You know, he's like a fancy guy and he chases Kevin around and stuff. I love him. He's in a lot of my favorite movies, and I always thought, well, that's my favorite part. But then last year, for the first time in a long time, I actually watched them back to back, and no, I definitely like the first one better.
I changed my mind. I actually haven't watched the second one in a while, so I think that I forgot about that part. I really do like the second one. I can't pick. I mean, I might like the second one a little bit more.
I decided just not to watch the fourth one.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's bad. Here's my favorite moment. Even though I like the first one better, my favorite moment from the entire Home Alone series is in the second one. It's when he electrocutes Marv and he turns into a skeleton with the hair and everything in the basement.
Wait, are you sure that's the second one?
I'm positive, yeah, because it's towards the end of the second one when he is in his, I guess, uncle's house, and it's like an abandoned house.
Yeah, that I like that. And when I was little, I don't think I told you this, but I was really scared of that part. I was scared of everything Kevin was scared of. So I was scared of that
The skeleton guy, when he turns into a skeleton, you mean?
No, the heater. I was scared of the heater.
Oh, the furnace in the first movie. Yeah. All right. Well, Maggie, any final thoughts on Home Alone? Anything else you want to bring up about it?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. All right, Maeve, your turn. What do you want to talk about? What movie or show or special or something you want to talk about?
Well, this is a show. This is a Christmas episode of a show. The show's called DuckTales. Well, there's a DuckTales and there's 2 DuckTales, the newer one.
Yeah, you guys love the new DuckTales, which I do too, and I grew up watching the original DuckTales, but now after watching the new one, it's so much better than the old one. It kind of makes the old one seem a little bit boring by comparison.
Yeah, definitely. I like the Christmas episode of that. It's So it's DuckTales, and it's actually, since it's like Scrooge and all that, like Uncle Scrooge and like all the
Like the ghosts.
Yeah, he takes the ghosts are like his ends up being like Louis comes in and he says what the heck are you doing? Are you they were just like hanging out in his room.
Yeah, it's a Christmas Carol parody, right? So it's like Ghost to Christmas, past, present, future, all that. Did you watch that one, Mag?
Yeah, I think I have.
Do you remember it?
Partially.
A little bit. All right. Any other moments from that you like? Do you remember?
I like when he goes back in. I like first one is I like when he goes back with the his first Christmas party. That's a fun one. He's like, he goes back to his. Wait, no, I'm thinking of a different moment. That was when he goes in like forward in time, and him and like the Scrooge's butler or whatever are dancing. Her and the Miss. I forget her name, but she's like a butler and she's super strong for some reason.
Oh yeah. I forget her name as well, but yes, she's she raised what's the little girl duck's name? Webby. Yeah, she raised Webby. So what were you gonna say, Meg?
One of my favorite parts of that is when they go with the little bug when he the little bug guy. Does he take him to the past or the future? Or present? Past. Okay. He's the little bug guy, and Scrooge is trying to squish him, but he just kept flashing everywhere.
Yeah, that's a good I love that show. It's really funny. How about the Snowman? You guys like the Snowman?
Yeah.
The Snowman is, if you for listeners at home that haven't seen it, you should check it out because it actually is really. It's a little sad, I'll say. Would you say that's fair, ladies? It's a little sad. It's just like very melancholy kind of music, but it's beautiful music, and it's an animated British special. It only runs 20 some minutes, but it's from 1982, and I remember the first time we watched it. Do you guys remember just cracking up at the first time we watched it?
Yeah, because the guy was getting his clothes on, and he was changing, and you saw his butt crack.
You remember that? You guys were cracking up.
I actually don't really remember very well. I just remember the snowman like fashion party or like snowman costume party or whatever, and it was really funny.
Yeah, I think it's like the kid wakes up in the morning and he sees it's snow outside. So he hurries up and changes out of his pajamas into his snow clothes. But he just strips down naked, and it's like from behind you see his little animated butt cheeks. And you guys just cracked up, thought that was the funniest thing in the world. All right. What else? What other ones does somebody have another one you want to talk about? All right, Mame.
I definitely like the Muppet Christmas Carol. It's really fun. It's kind of like just like the puppets in general. Like the one that goes like how the song about how they're talking about how terrible Scrooge is. Mm-hmm. I think that the puppets are kind of gross and some of them are even creepy, but it's because they're kind of it's an older movie, and I mean I still like it.
Well, that's the best thing about the Muppets, because I grew up watching the Muppets. Is like they're real. I mean, they're puppets, but they're not like animated. You know what I mean? They're actual physical puppets. And some of them are definitely creepy, which is honestly probably one of my favorite things about them when I was little. But what were you going to say, Mag?
I also have another movie to talk about.
Oh, okay. Let's go. We have a few minutes left in this here segment. So let's do a little rapid fire back and forth. Tell me one that you like and why.
I like The Grinch, the new Grinch.
Oh, the new animated one that just came out in the theaters a few years ago?
Yeah.
I remember we went and saw that in the theaters, didn't we?
Yeah. Wait, did we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, remember? It was all of us and Grandma and Pap went too.
Oh, yeah. How old was I?
That was 2 or 3 years ago. You were pretty little. I think you actually fell asleep halfway through. All right, maybe now you give me one.
I'm trying to think. This isn't a movie at all, but last year we went to Disney World, and we went to Disney World, and it was in October. It was like last year, like a year ago, and it was Halloween, and we were there. Were we there for Halloween?
Yeah, we were there in October. Not for Halloween, but we were there in October. Remember, we went to the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party and all that.
Yeah, I remember. So I loved that a lot, and I just wanted to mention it's not a movie, but it's a Halloween. It was Halloween. It was all decorated for Halloween. Well, the first 2 days we were there, it wasn't decorated, and then overnight it was just turned into a Halloween land.
Another good show is Holiday Light Fight.
Oh yes, you guys like Holiday Light Fight. That's on Disney Plus, or we watch on Disney Plus, right? And it's all those crazy people who are psychotic about their Christmas lights and spend a bajillion hours. Remember that one lady made all those little flowers?
Yeah, she melted all the lights.
Yeah, and they were really pretty. It was beautiful. It just spent thousands of hours.
Yeah, she said for each flower it take about 5 hours. So she would make 2 a day.
Yeah, and she had looked like thousands of them. It was insane. Okay, last pick here. Who has any? I just remembered one that you guys might not remember. Do you guys remember watching the Octonauts Christmas special? Constantly. We used to watch that all the time. I had that one memorized.
I also have another one. It's the Peanuts. Can't go wrong with the Peanuts. Halloween. Peanuts Christmas. There's a new one that came out this year, and I like that one better. It has a story, and it's pretty good. It's the animated. It's not the newer animated one.
Yeah, you were telling me there's a new one, but I haven't seen it yet.
Actually, I had the party at my school a few days ago, and it was Peanuts themed, and it was really fun. We watched it.
Yeah, Maggie has her Christmas party at school this week. What are you going to watch? Tell them what you're going to watch at your Christmas party at school.
Polar Express Day.
Polar Express. Yeah, that's your theme. But you've never seen Polar Express. It'll be your first time, right?
Yeah.
Are you excited to watch it?
Yeah. And I also have another one. It's Charlie Brown Christmas.
Oh, yeah. That's what you said. Peanuts and Charlie Brown are the same. The whole gang of friends is called the Peanuts. It was actually Linus and Lucy and Charlie Brown and all them. They're all from a comic strip. They used to be in the newspapers called the Peanuts, and then it became, the holiday specials and all that stuff. So, all right. Any final thoughts on some of your favorite? Is there anything? So we're about, we're a week away from Christmas. Any final thoughts of things you're super excited for Christmas this last week leading up to Christmas Day?
I'm really excited. I actually like most people like Thanksgiving dinner more than Christmas dinner, but I like Christmas dinner more. Anyway.
You're not a huge turkey fan though, right?
No, I was going up the stairs. I didn't tell you guys this, but I didn't mean to, but I saw one of the Christmas presents. I don't know if it was for me. I don't know if it was for Maggie. I saw a Christmas present.
Oh, wow. What was it?
It was a big ball, and it looked like an alarm clock. I have one, but it doesn't work. When we got it, it didn't work.
I wonder if that's for you. Maybe it's for me. Maybe it's for somebody else. We shall see. All right, Maggie has something important to say. She's freaking out.
That might be trash of the box that we had before for that timer.
That's true. Could be. It's a mystery.
There's something funny about our elf.
Tell everybody what your elf is named. Your elf on the shelf.
Well, it was Maria Pandy Sparkles, but we call her Sparkle or Maria. And a week. When was it that she put chocolate chips in a glass, and she sat on the glass like she pooped in the jar.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
That was this year.
Yeah, that was just like last week when Maria pooped all those little chocolate chips into one of Daddy's beer glasses.
Then we all ate it.
Then we ate the elf poop, and it was delicious.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining me once again. And now you have a whole year off. Well, no, maybe you guys will come on again. Usually you come on again throughout the year. But you have a whole year to think about and watch some more Christmas specials to talk about next year. You want to say bye, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, everybody?
First, I might be, like, I don't know, but there might be a little bit noise me trying to get my beanbag that I'm sitting on out of this room, because it is heavier than it looks.
Yeah, you dragged your whole big giant beanbag in here, and then Daddy's going to finish recording the rest of the podcast. You're going to be dragging it out of here, making a ruckus. Yeah.
I'll still, like, at the end, I'll still be trying to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not going to help you. I'm just going to watch you struggle.
Of course you are.
All right, say. You want to say bye to everybody? Say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, well done, ladies.
Peace out.
Wasn't that fun? Wasn't that festive and wholesome? Listening to little kids getting excited about Christmas. How sweet is that? How just heartwarming. That was a lot of fun. I love having them on. They ask me to be on the podcast all the time. Obviously, we generally talk about topics that are not at all appropriate for a 7 and a 9-year-old. So the Christmas episode always gives them an opportunity to come on and talk about, non-horror movies. So they get a kick out of that. All right. Now, let's do one more order of business before we get into these movies. We are going to be coming up pretty damn close here. Like I said, the holiday season is very much upon us. So that means that December will be coming to a close pretty damn soon, which means the January Showdown episode is right on our heels. So just a quick announcement in terms of what the winner was for the January Showdown episode. Let me see what those 3 we voted on for. It was Lance Hendrickson was one of them. It was Giallo, and I cannot for the life of me remember what the last one is. Maybe Steve will insert a little thing here where he says, Brian, you're a goddamn amateur moron. It was this. This is what our third option was.
It was Cinema Fatale. Horror in the theater. You fuck.
Well, guess what? That one didn't win, because if it did, I would remember what the fuck it is. The winner, surprisingly, frankly, for January, and one I'm very excited about, because for whatever reason, this just sounds like something fun and refreshing and interesting to do in January, and also has a bit of alliteration, kind of a little bit, is Giallo. So we're going to be doing Giallo January, which frankly, if yins like it, maybe that just needs to be our automatic January every year. Giallo January. I love Giallo flicks. Love a lot of the directors that dabble in that. We could get into, quote unquote American Giallo films as well. That might be a lot of fun to do down the road. We can go in a lot of directions with this. It's fairly broad a subgenre of Italian whodunit murder mystery type of slasher-esque type of films. So we're going to be talking about Giallo films. We're going to be going over Giallo films in January. So if you got any suggestions for Giallo films that you're like, hey, check that out. This is one that's maybe a little less known. Maybe you haven't seen it before. Maybe you should check it out. Maybe you might want to do it for your pick. We'll pick those for the next mini, so we'll tell you what our picks are going to be. But in the meantime, if you have any suggestions, throw them away on the social medias. And maybe that'll be something we get a chance to check out and even pick for the January Showdown, for the Giallo January. So tune in for that. Okay. Now, without any other further ado, without any other delays, let's get into some underappreciated or perhaps underrated horror movies, and just general Christmas horror movies, but also just general Christmas movies, right? So like I said, I've got a list of 10 here. I'll go back through them and I'll kind of alternate back and forth. How's that? Where we'll talk about some of our favorite, or some of my favorite underrated ones. Now, some of these they might not be underrated. They might just maybe be underappreciated or underviewed, perhaps. Some of them more than others. Some on here you might say like, hey, everybody knows that movie. Well, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But it's just, these are ones that I don't see a lot of people talking about in the same vein as, like I said, your Home Alones, your National Lampoon's Christmas Vacations. On the horror side, your Black Christmas, your Krampus, that sort of stuff. So for hardcore horror nerds, some of these might be quite, quite recognizable. You might have seen them. You might be quite familiar with them. Maybe you wouldn't be. But these are ones that I think for whatever reason don't get as much attention as they deserve. So the first one I'm going to start off with is one that I think a lot of hardcore horror fans do know, and have seen, or at least are familiar with in some capacity. So this movie is from 2010. And it is a Finnish production, I believe, and I'm going to butcher the director's name, January Helander. He's Finnish, from Helsinki, and the name of the flick, you might have guessed it already, is called Rare Exports, which is a really interesting, almost disaster film type of take on a Killer Santa type situation, and that's not really spoiling anything here. Like I said, it goes in a lot of different directions you're not necessarily expecting, but it's the production value is fantastic. It really has some great Christmassy vibes. And like I said, it goes in some wild directions that you're not expecting. I'll read the synopsis, the brief little synopsis here on IMDb. Again, 2010, Rare Exports. In the depths of the, oh, Jesus Christ, Korvanaturi Mountains. Again, that's in Finland, I would assume. 486 meters deep lies the closest ever guarded secret of Christmas. That's a clunky sentence. The time has come to dig it up. This Christmas, everyone will believe in Santa Claus. So yeah, I won't spoil too much about it because there are some elements to be spoiled. But it is this kind of mix of what feels a little bit like a disaster movie / monster movie / kind of not ecological. I would say folklorish type of story that ties in, the Santa Claus story as well, in a creepy, pretty action-y type of way, but really fun, really well acted, got some fun, creepy moments. And like I said, really going to give you some Christmas feels as well. I am a big fan of Christmas horror as a subgenre in general, holiday horror. But for me, it's got to also deliver on some like Christmassy vibes as well for me to really like it and like spend my holiday season watching it. I love stuff that's scary. Obviously, I'm a huge horror fan. Case in point, I host a fucking horror podcast. But my point is, there's a lot of great, just straight Christmas movies to watch around the holiday season. You only got so much time. So if I'm going to watch a Christmas horror movie, it better have some good Christmassy vibes in there. And this one definitely does. Rare Exports from 2010. All right. So let me switch over the list here. And I'm going to go towards one that is not horror related. This is actually more of a comedy, really a romantic comedy, I would go as far as to say. And we're going to stay in the early 2000s, even a little earlier in the early 2000s. We're going to go back to the wonderful year of 2005. For a movie that you may have heard of, or maybe you remember, but you haven't seen in a while. And there's probably some good reasons why you haven't, because it doesn't get much play. But this is one that my wife and I, that Kate and I, watch every year at least once. It is one of our perennial favorite Christmas movies. And honestly, one of my favorite, dumb teen rom-com, like young adult, I would say, rom-com movies as well. It's not a teen rom-com, it's young adult, I'll say. It's called Just Friends, from 2005, directed by Roger Kumble, which is a weird and unfortunate name. Let's see if we can dig up what old Raj might have directed aside from this. He directed Cruel Intentions. Talk about your teen movies from the 90s. Just a sexy ass teen movie. I remember watching that in 2019. Just cranking it to Cruel Intentions. I don't mind saying. The Sweetest Thing from 2002. Those are the big ones for sure. And then, like I said, Just Friends in 2005. But he's still directing things, as far as I can tell, at least as recently as 2020. He's got some projects going, so I think he is still active writer, director, producer. In any case, guys, Just Friends stars in you might recognize this now that I start talking about the folks involved, but it stars Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool himself. You also had Amy Smart, Anna Faris, Chris Klein, who's underrated, very funny, Christopher Marquette, you recognize as well. Quite a few people you'll recognize from this era. But obviously Ryan Reynolds, Anna Faris, and Amy Smart are kind of the main characters. Rom-com type of thing between Ryan Reynolds and Amy Smart. Anna Faris, fucking hilarious in this movie, like completely under, like just really outkicks her coverage in terms of the amount of screen time she's on. Like you think she's, a lot of the most memorable scenes are with her, but she's actually not on screen that much. To be honest, like I said, it's primarily Ryan Reynolds and Amy Smart. Anyway, I'll read the synopsis here real quick for you. While visiting his hometown during Christmas, a man comes face to face with his old high school crush and best friend, a woman whose rejection of him turned him into a ferocious womanizer. Ryan Reynolds in a fat suit. So that's definitely one of the reasons why it doesn't hold up very well. It is very, very fat phobic. And Ryan Reynolds is in the full on like clump style fat suit. And he's supposed to be this kid who was like a fat nerdy kid in high school. And he was, in the quote unquote friend zone, with Amy Smart's character, Jamie, the entire time and all through high school. And he had feelings for her, but he never had the way to, he never had the guts to tell her how he felt. And there was also a lot of like sexual tension between them, blah, blah, blah. He gets this, humiliated on, after graduation, moves to LA, becomes a big, music executive type of guy. Becomes Ryan Reynolds. So he's this like stud, looking dude, and ends up finding himself back in his hometown and, striking up the romance. It sounds frankly very Hallmark Christmas movie-y. And it is to a certain extent, but it's, a comedy. So it's a lot funnier than that. And Anna Faris and Chris Klein, frankly, have like a lot of the funniest lines and funniest bits in the movie. Aside from the fat suit thing, and this is why this movie probably doesn't get a lot of play right now, besides being very fat phobic, it also is wildly homophobic as well, and not like giving it a pass for that. But it was 2005. But there are homophobic slurs just thrown around pretty often, specifically between Ryan Reynolds' character and his like younger brother, in a joking, loving way, but it also in like a fairly mean-spirited way. So like you can see why this definitely doesn't find its way onto, getting much replay. But Anna Faris plays this insane, like just deranged, like pop musician that he's trying to sign, and then they're kind of romantically tied, but like he's really leading her on to get he's really a bastard for the most part in the movie. And then, he eventually turns back into the sweet old lovable self that he was back in high school and, gets the girl, blah, blah, blah. It's pretty predictable in that sense. But some of the lines that Anna Faris has in this and just the unhinged performance she has is fucking hilarious. I'm a huge Anna Faris fan, like not like I don't listen to her podcast or anything, but just like as a comic actress, she's fucking fantastic. If you've ever seen the movie The House Bunny, I know I've talked about it on the podcast before, but it is on the surface looks like the stupidest, most unwatchable movie in the world. But The House Bunny is goddamn hilarious, and she is hilarious in it. And this movie she plays a smaller role in, but she's really funny. And then kind of the unsung, she steals the show, but the other kind of unsung hero of the cast who's not nearly in the movie as much, like frankly doesn't even show up. Well, no, he shows up early and then he comes back around. He's in a decent amount, but not nearly as much even as Anna Faris is Chris Klein. And you guys remember him from American Pie, Election. He was in We Were Soldiers too. He's been in a bunch of stuff. You'll immediately recognize him. He's still he's in a show. Actually, he's in a show right now called Sweet Magnolias. I don't know what that is. He's also in 16 episodes of The Flash. He's been in a bunch of shit. You'll recognize him. He plays a character called Dusty Dinkelman, who was another nerd in high school and is now like heartthrobish type of guy. But he's just like a fucking unhinged sociopath, which you could argue Ryan Reynolds' character is too. But he is just got some really over the top funny lines, especially near the end of the movie. So like I said, really funny. It's got some great heartwarming Christmassy elements. It's got some fun romantic elements as well if you like rom-coms, but Just Friends is really fun. Like I said, you just have to excuse the fat phobia and rampant homophobia, but it is like that's kind of why it's under the radar, I guess. So absolutely worth a watch. Check out Just Friends. All right, I am going to jump back into horror. And I am going to, and there's a couple of these on here, which I can't avoid because I'm going to take a little sippy of beer. I am not going to apologize for having tremendous taste, you guys. So I'm going to talk about movies which we have talked about on the podcast a couple of times already. And for those of you who are newer listeners, you may not have heard us talk about this before. For those of you who are longtime listeners, you're not going to be surprised on a couple of these ones because we've actually done episodes. So if you like the sound of it, go back and listen to our episodes or go watch it and then go listen to our episode in previous years where we talked about some of these movies. But I'm going to continue to sing the praises of a couple of these. This one is a perennial favorite. I picked it, I think, as either in a showdown or it might have been a quote unquote punishment movie, but it's not a punishment. It's a damn treat. From 1997, the year of our Lord, a little movie directed by Michael Cooney. It's called Jack Frost, guys, and it's a goddamn mutant killer snowman, and it's so stupid and so over the top and so fun, and the movie is just made with so much love. I don't know how else to put it. It is the production value, the effort, the kills, the practical effects. None of it is taken, how do I put it? None of it's taken too seriously, but it is all done with just so much love and reverence and respect for the movie. It's so fucking wild. Let me read the plot synopsis here. After an accident that left murderer Jack Frost dead in genetic material, the vengeful, that's a terribly written sentence. The vengeful killer returns as a murderous snowman to exact his revenge. They said revenge again, Jesus Christ, on the man who sent him to be executed. So let me do a better job of there's a super brutal serial killer, right? He is arrested. He is sentenced to death or put in jail or whatever. But while he's being transferred, the truck collides with a damn genetic goop truck. That's all you need to know. Fucking toxic genetic waste gets all over him, goes into the snow, melts him into the fucking snow, and then he's formed into a goddamn killer snowman. It's tremendous. It's got one of the best fucking VHS box covers ever. I watched this movie first at my friend Brian's house, back when, right when it came out on VHS, and we just fell in absolutely in love with it right from the beginning. And I've watched it so many times over the years. It has scenes that'll make you laugh, that'll make you cringe, that'll make you go like, Jesus Christ. Like there's a couple of brutal, I won't even spoil it because I want the shock value to hit you if you haven't seen this already. And if you're not sure about it and you want to hear us sing the praises of it more, if you need more convincing, go back. It was either last year or the year before, but go back to some of our December episodes over the last couple of years and you'll see we did a full minisode talking about Jack Frost. It's kooky. It's a kooky fun time. And it's got some fun kind of Christmassy vibes to it too. Like it feels festive. It feels Christmassy. I can't say enough about Jack Frost. All right. I am going to do a more recent one. This is probably because it was, fairly recent here. Actually, it's older than I thought. Boy, I thought it was like 2018. It's actually 2015. This movie does get some play. I don't feel like it did great upon release because it did get a really wide release. But like, I feel like it's gotten some traction in recent years, but it's just a really well made, really, really funny movie with a great cast, and a great score as well. Like wildly better than it needs to be score. Like this could have just been a stupid Christmas buddy comedy, and they made it way better than it needed to be. It's called The Night Before from 2015. And if you've not seen it, like I remember seeing it, it came out around the same time as like Bad Moms Christmas and like just fucking garbage that came out. Like a lot of like Christmas comedy movies, I feel like came out around this time, which that in and of itself should have reminded me that it's actually older than I thought it was. It's 8 years old at this point because nobody fucking makes comedy movies anymore, which is bizarre. But this is really fucking funny. And it's got a tremendous cast. It stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who I love, but he actually is pretty forgettable in this movie compared to the rest of the cast, which I don't think it's his fault. It's just the character. Anthony Mackie is in it, which you'll remember. Well, if you've seen it, I guess for those of you who've seen it, you'll remember him from what's the name of his character?
The Falcon.
Nah. Oh god damn! What's the fucking
Twisted Metal?
He's also he's also the Falcon in like the Captain America movies. Apparently, you probably know
the
him
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I've not seen any of those movies. He's in The Hurt Locker for some reason. The movie or the other show he's in that I saw him in is
Altered Carbon.
Escaping me right now, and I'm don't have anyone else to fill the gap in
Altered Carbon.
In
Twisted Metal.
Audio while I can look that up. Anyway, he's great. Seth Rogen is fantastic. Lizzie Kaplan, Jillian Bell is in it. Mindy Kaling plays a smaller role. Michael Shannon plays a small but goddamn hilarious role. Alana Glazer does as well. Tracy Morgan is like the narrator, which is bizarre. James Franco plays him. It's like that whole crew. Like Miley Cyrus is in it for a minute. You know what I mean? Nathan Fielding is it, or at least Nathan Fielder is in it. He's fantastic. Anyway, It's really genuinely funny. It's kind of it's like a party, like stoner party type movie, but with a lot of heart and with some really genuinely funny writing and some like very heartfelt moments as well. And like I said, the score is just way better than it needs to be. And the soundtrack just at large, right? Anyway, the director is Jonathan Levine, which the name sounds familiar to me, but let's look and see what else he directed. 50/50, Warm Bodies. He directed The Whackness. I don't know what that is. Producer on The Long Shot. Looks like he's partnered up with Seth Rogen on a lot of stuff, but honestly, not a ton of things that I've seen, interestingly enough, and not even that many director credits, interestingly enough. But this is really fantastic, and absolutely worth checking out. Really fun, feel good, have a couple drinks, do a couple bong rips, kind of Christmas movie. And it like I said, it looks, I know you said it sounds great, but it also looks fantastic. It's just shot beautifully. They do a lot more with it than they need to.
You forgot Jason Mantzoukas as one of the crazy Santas.
Okay, let's get back into horror, and I'm going right back to the well in terms of movies that I have just championed in the past and will continue to champion and will unapologetically champion. All right. And I'm going right back to apparently, which was a fantastic fucking year for Christmas movies. I'm going back to 2005 for a tight little flick starring one Mr. Bill Goldberg. You know what I'm talking about, guys. We are talking about Santa's Sleigh. If you don't know what I'm talking about, do yourself a fucking favor and go over. I'm sure it's on Tubi. It has got to be in about 50 different places. It's also under some other names, but Santa's Sleigh, it's SLAY, as you might imagine. But it's also, I've seen it as under Very Bad Santa as well. Just search Santa's Sleigh. You're going to find it. It's absolutely streaming some places. It's directed by David Steinman. Let's see if there's anything else that he has directed. He was on the crew on some stuff. Doesn't look like he has much in the way of directing credits. Nope, just directed this one movie. God damn it. And he knocked it out of the fucking park. He's actually been on some really, really, like he was an AD on Rush Hour 2. He has been actually on the crew for a lot of big movies. I mean, production assistant on Castaway, Red Dragon. Yeah, he's been on the crew for some big movies. Only directed one movie. And Jesus, I guess when you direct and your directorial debut is Santa's Sleigh, just pack it in, because you ain't getting any better than that. This movie I watch every year. It's fucking hilarious. It's one of those movies that you're just like so confused and excited and just like baffled by the fact that it happened. And somebody made this movie. I'll read the synopsis real quick. Santa Claus is, this is a great synopsis, by the way. Santa Claus is actually a demon who lost a bet with an angel, so he becomes the giver of toys and happiness. But when the bet is off, he returns to his evil ways. That's actually, even though that's like more his backstory, and like most of the time it's just Bill Goldberg as Santa murdering people. That's actually a pretty tight synopsis. So it stars Bill Goldberg, former WCW and then WWE, but really we know him from his fucking mythical undefeated run in WCW in the 90s. One Mr. Bill Goldberg. It has some other people who you don't really know. It's got Robert Culp in it as Grandpa, which and it also has a really underappreciated role. And every time I watch the movie, I kind of forget he's in it. Dave Thomas, from SCTV, and he was one half of the Mackenzie brothers. Dave Thomas is wildly funny. He plays this really underappreciated role as the like crooked pastor. Oh my God. He's got some lines that are just, you could tell they just let him go. And he's like such a hilarious improviser that he just had they're just so funny. Anyway, so it's got a few, recognizable people like that throughout the course of the movie, but the bonkers part, which you're going to be like, how is this real, right? How is this actually, like how is, you're going to put the movie on. All right. Let me lay this out for you. The way you're going to start this movie, you're going to go, oh, Bill Goldberg. Okay, fine. You've got, you got Bill Goldberg, you got a couple other people maybe I've heard about here or there, but that's about it. Right. But then you're going to start the movie and you're going to go, wait a second. Is that James Caan? Is that Sonny Corleone himself, Mr. James Caan? And the answer is yes, he is there. And then you're going to say, well, hold on a damn second. Is that the nanny, Fran Drescher? And the answer is, yeah, it definitely is. And then you've got like Rebecca Gayheart, Chris Kattan of SNL fame. Like the opening scene is one of the most bonkers moments in cinematic history that I could ever describe to you. The first, I'm going to say 3 minutes of the movie, from the opening credits until, and this first 3 minutes, I'll spoil this, has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. These characters, aside from Santa as Bill Goldberg, never show back up. You never really get much information about who they were, why they were there, anything like that. You just get this first scene at the beginning with like all of these recognizable faces. They all get destroyed by Bill Goldberg. And then you just move into a different movie that really doesn't have anything to do with that one. Just do yourself a fucking favor. If not for any other reason, just for the that introduction scene. You're gonna love it, and you're gonna tell people, and you're gonna evangelize about Santa's Sleigh for the rest of your days. So do yourself a fucking favor, go watch Santa's Sleigh. I'm gonna jump back into a non-horror movie. Oh man, we're staying tight in the early 2000s here. We're going back just 1 year further to 2004 for a movie that I think a lot of people know, but haven't seen, or frankly don't like. I feel like a lot of people don't like this movie. It's called Christmas with the Cranks. Okay. And on the surface, you're going to go, oh, you just like it because Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. And that's part of it. Absolutely. But Tim Allen is also in it. And I have mixed emotions about Tim Allen. I grew up where Home Improvement was appointment television. Like I grew up in the, in throughout the 90s, and it was absolutely our number one favorite show, show we never missed. So I grew up loving Tim Allen. I have over the years come to severely dislike Tim Allen. One, because he's very notably a fucking asshole in real life. But also the Santa Claus is a movie that I grew up liking and have learned to hate, which I feel like in most instances I've like softened on movies that I grew up not liking, or if I grew up liking them, I still like them for nostalgic reasons. This is like one unique exception where I grew up liking the Santa Claus, and now it's like, I can't fucking stand it. Something about it. It's just such a, I don't know, cynical, shitty movie, and the entire franchise is trash. It even has Martin Short in one of the sequels, and I fucking love Martin Short. And I hate that movie. Anyway, so a little conflicted here because it does have Tim Allen, who kind of sucks, but Tim Allen is for the most part kind of the straight guy. Yeah, he has a couple bits, and he does have some funny bits. But I would say Jamie Lee Curtis steals the show. I mean, she's great. She's wonderful. So they're a married couple. You've got a Dan Aykroyd in there who plays a like kind of a weird, almost antagonist-y type of character, but really very funny. You have M. Emmett Walsh, who has been in so many things. I mean, I remember him. But we will know it, like fans of this show will probably know him from Critters. He was Harv in Critters. He was also Bryant in Blade Runner, so you probably know him for that as well. He was in Blood Simple. He's just been in a million things, and like you'll recognize him from a million movies. And he's still in stuff in 2023. But I remember him as the madman sniper trying to shoot Steve Martin's character in The Jerk. You know, where he's like, the cans, he hates the cans. You know, he's the guy up on the hill trying to shoot him. Anyway, he's very endearing, very lovable character in this movie, and also has got some funny moments as well. You've got Eric Sullivan, who's the younger kid from Malcolm in the Middle. You've got like Cheech Marin, fucking Jake Busey and Cheech Marin are cops in the movie. Lot of recognizable faces in here popping up. In any case, it's a family Christmas comedy. It's just well written. I'll give you the plot synopsis. With their daughter Blair away in Peru, Luther and Nora Crank decide to skip Christmas altogether until she decides to come home, causing an uproar when they have to celebrate the last minute. So it's almost like a caper. You know, it's almost like a almost a heist movie in a way. That sounds stupid, but it's like, yeah, so their daughter's going away to join the Peace Corps. They're kind of bummed and depressed about her not being there for Christmas. And they go, let's just go on a cruise and skip Christmas this year. But then they take it too far. They become real hardline about the whole thing. And then she calls to surprise them like the day before Christmas Eve, or maybe it's on Christmas Eve, I forget, and says, I'm coming home and I'm bringing my new fiance. So they basically go back on everything they say, and they're like, Jamie Lee Curtis says, like, this was a stupid idea, fuck you, we're having a Christmas party, we're doing Christmas, you know, which we always go really big on, but we're doing it all in one day. So it's them scrambling, running around, trying to make it look like they never had this like idea of skipping Christmas because it will upset their daughter who's coming home. So it's like, you know, whatever, but it's just fucking chaos. And the performers sell out on it. Like Jamie Lee Curtis especially, she just sells out on it and just absolutely, like, she's bought in and on all the bits, and she's fantastic. So anyway, movie that for whatever reason I saw, I think when it came out, I think I might have saw it in theaters and then have just watched it like every year since. I don't know why. It's just become kind of a perennial favorite. But surface level, you're like, Tim Allen, Christmas, whatever. Check it out. It's really fun movie. Okay, let's get back to the horror. We did an episode on it. We did a Minisode on it. 2022. Okay, it was last year, called Christmas Bloody Christmas. We did a Minisode on it. So for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you'll remember us talking about this. But I don't know. It's only been a year, but I'm not seeing a lot of people talking about it this year. I think it's just because there's so many new Christmas horror movies every year. Like, it's really on trend right now. Everyone's making Christmas horror movies, but it just didn't really get well reviewed. It was a Shudder original or Shudder exclusive, I think, when it came out. I mean, it's sitting at 5.1 on IMDb, which is like really harsh because I really like this movie. Like I said, 2022, it's a tight movie, and it's directed by Joe Bagos, who we've talked about. We really like on the podcast. When I say me, I mean me and Steve both have really liked, especially the visuals that he puts on the screen. He did Bliss back in 2019, which actually really didn't get really, at least on IMDb, not great scores, which sucks because it's not a perfect movie by any means, but it's a visually striking movie and really atmospheric, and it stuck in my mind. I mean, God knows how many fucking horror movies I've seen since 2019, and I remember Bliss pretty well. He also did VFW, which I think was probably one of his probably his most well-known movie. He's only been directing. He did his feature length in 2013, so I guess it's been 10 years, with a movie called Almost Human, another one called The Mind's Eye, which I did not see those first two, but then 2019, and 2022, Bliss, VFW, and Christmas Bloody Christmas, all really, he's got a really unique, really awesome visual directing style that I can really appreciate. Part of it is that it is very like saturated, almost 80s looking, dark, but with a really saturated, glowing, bright lights, like almost this arcade aesthetic to it, which, that's certainly something that's very much up my alley. But this does it to a really effective level. I feel like it's always snowing everywhere they go, whether it's them hanging out in like this record shop the main protagonists work in, or then they go to like a bar at some point, they're at their house. It's always feels like it's actually winter, and it just feels like degen Christmas, which I love. The main characters, let me do the plot synopsis first. It's Christmas Eve, and Tori just wants to get drunk and party. But when a robotic Santa Claus at a nearby toy store goes haywire and begins a rampant killing spree through her small town, she's forced into battle for survival. Great synopsis. It's a robot killer Santa with military grade technology that just goes wild and kills everybody. Fucking great. What a premise, right? The main characters, Tori, who's played by Riley Dandy. What else is she in? A Hollywood Christmas. That does seem to be some Hallmark Christmas movies that she was in prior to that. Anyway, I just remember her doing a pretty damn good job in this movie. And then Robbie, her kind of love interesty friend, whatever, is in it as well. Played by Sam Delich, and he does a good job. Not many people that are recognizable. You will see Jeff Daniel Phillips, who you'll recognize from a bunch of different stuff, including a lot of Rob Zombie productions. Jonah Ray, comedian Jonah Ray, MST3K, Jonah Ray. He's in it briefly. He gets a pretty brutal kill, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, just a really fun, visually striking, ultra violent fucking robot Santa slasher, and the ending gets fucking wild. It just goes and goes and goes, but the movie is hour and 26 minutes. That's like the perfect fucking runtime for a movie like this. It's just a tight, fun little Christmas horror movie that's got some just cool Christmas aesthetics. And it's just, if you're in like, hey, we're in the home stretch of Christmas, we're just trying to get after it. Like, let's just get fucking hammered, right? It's just got the degen, let's get fucked up Christmas vibe, which is kind of fun as far as I'm concerned. Christmas Bloody Christmas from 2022. All right, we got a few more here. We've got my last non-horror pick here. I want to say this might be right in that same window, which is bizarre. Every movie I picked almost is from the early 2000s. I don't know what that's saying exactly, but this is also from 2004. I think I have two from 2004, two from 2005. This is a movie that I just don't really see anyone talk about. My wife turned me on to this movie. This is a movie that she started watching with her family for whatever reason. I don't even know why or who kind of brought it to their attention. But she introduced it to me, and we've watched it a lot since then. And it actually reminds me a lot of Just Friends. I won't say I like it as much as Just Friends. It is a little bit of a different movie. It's not as funny, but it's got probably a better cast. I think that's fair to say, despite the fact that there's Anna Faris is really funny in the other movie. This movie is called Surviving Christmas from 2004, directed by Mike Mitchell. Real quick, I'll read the plot synopsis. A lonely, obnoxious young millionaire, kind of sounds like the other movie, pays a family to spend Christmas with him. So it's a little more unhinged than Just Friends, but somehow not as cartoonish, weirdly enough. I'll kind of explain what I mean. Michael Mitchell, by the way, directed Monsters vs. Aliens, Shrek Forever After, Lego Movie 2. Like, he's directed some big, family and kid movies. This is PG-13, I think, and it's PG-13. I wouldn't say it's certainly not a kids movie, but it's a young adult, PG-13 family comedy. Like, there's a little bit of raunchiness to it. There's some sexually suggestive stuff, maybe some cursing and whatnot. But the cast is fucking tremendous. All right. So it stars Ben Affleck, who's good in it. And I'm not always a diehard Ben Affleck guy. Sometimes he annoys the shit out of me. He does a great job in this, because he plays an obnoxious, rich fucking twit. And he does it great. It's got Christina Applegate. Come on, fucking fantastic. It's got James Gandolfini, fucking Tony Soprano himself. And it's got Catherine O'Hara, one of the funniest humans that ever walked the goddamn planet. And it's got a bunch of other, Udo Kier is in it, briefly. It's got a lot of recognizable people. Stephen Root, actually, there's the tie to Just Friends. Stephen Root is in Just Friends as well. You remember him probably from Dodgeball. But he plays really funny, even though he's only on screen like once, I think. A really funny, he's the top record exec, maybe even the owner of the record company. So he's like Ryan Reynolds' boss in Just Friends. He plays a shrink, I think, in this one. In any case, Ben Affleck's character is just a bajillionaire. He ends up going to the house that he grew up in and pays the family that lives there, who's kind of struggling, I would say middle class, working class family, which is Kristen O'Hara, James Gandolfini, Christine Applegate, Josh Zuckerman. You'll recognize him as well. They're the family that lives there, and he's like, I'll give you $100,000. And he keeps upping it. So they're going to get a lot of money, right? Which they need. And then also it's kind of a marriage drama, because Catherine O'Hara and James Gandolfini's characters, their marriage is kind of on the rocks, and they get, as they get through the whole thing, as you might imagine. Another great funny element. He hires an actor to play his non-existent grandfather. He calls Doodah. It's just funny situational family comedy, but with really good people. So James Gandolfini's kind of the roughneck tough guy dad who's no nonsense kind of guy, and you genuinely think he's going to do violence to everyone all the time because he's fucking Tony Soprano. So you're like, oh my God, he's legit going to beat the shit out of somebody. And I think he does on several occasions. Really fun movie. And I think this is really kind of flies under the radar, at least as far as I've seen. So Surviving Christmas from 2004. All right, couple more. And I'm really already getting sick of the sound of my own voice here. Never thought I would hear that. Never thought I would say that, but just uncut without another, co-host. It's rough. And also, I just want to say, doing this episode by myself, doing this solo, also feeling just guilty that Steve has to listen to this much of my voice on a regular basis when he edits these episodes. Especially with the Patreon episodes. Steve, you're a stronger man than I couldn't deal with my own fucking voice this much.
Don't forget, I edit podcasts I hate, that I'm not on, for money. This is more fun than that corporate garbage.
I'm going to get back into a movie, and I won't talk about it a lot, because this was actually my Showdown episode pick for December. So we just did this. So I won't talk about it a lot, but these types of episodes, when we do these list episodes, this will probably be called underrated Christmas movies or something like that. We get a lot of new listeners with those, and not that that's necessarily my intention is we got to get new listeners, but just when people around Christmas time search for the word Christmas, right, in their podcast apps, these come up and people see them more often. So it's when we do favorite Halloween specials, you know, that around Halloween time. Like, we love doing those episodes, but they also always get a lot of new viewers because that's how people search for shit in their podcatcher apps. So for those of you who are new to the podcast, you might not have heard me talk about this because maybe that's your first episode. This is not normally how it is. Normally it's not just one dickweed on here talking incessantly. We did a showdown episode in December, and it was Christmas horror movies. It was our Secret Satan showdown for December, and I got a movie called Await Further Instructions from 2018, a British film which I'd never seen before, never even really heard of, which was interesting because Steve found it, or perhaps it got suggested by a listener to get put on the Secret Satan wheel, and I got it, and I was thrilled, even though it lost to Black Christmas. Spoiler, and there's a spoiler. Everyone knew Black Christmas was going to win for that showdown. In any case, I got Await Further Instructions, and it was the only one none of us had seen, and I fucking loved it. I'll read the plot synopsis here. A family's Christmas takes a strange turn when they awake to find themselves trapped inside and begin receiving mysterious instructions through the television. So I had this one. Steve had Black Christmas. And then our guest, a friend of the show, multiple time guest, Brandon Getz. Boy, why can't I remember what fucking movie he had? It was another good one. Never mind. He had Black Christmas. Steve had oh my God, what the fuck? Garbage Day. What's the goddamn
Silent
Garbage
Night,
Day movie?
Deadly Night Part
I'll think
2.
about it here in a sec. He had
Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2.
You know, we knew Black Christmas was going to win. So I went in, you know, with a relatively open mind and not really expecting to win. So I really didn't sell the movie really well. Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, by the way. That's what I hear him say Christmas Evil that Steve had, which is fun, but dog shit. I went in not pushing this movie super hard because I knew it wasn't going to win when going up against the classic that is Black Christmas. But in another setting, I think I would have lobbied for this movie to win really hard because it was a really fun and unexpected movie. The worst thing in the world for me for a horror movie is to be predictable. That's just my personal take. That's just what I value. And this movie is not predictable. You don't know what's happening. You don't know what's coming. It's not necessarily ultra confusing and vague. Like, you kind of understand what's progressing, but you just don't know where it's going, which I really, really value. So I won't talk about it anymore because we just talked about it on a recent episode. And if you want to go back, listen to that showdown episode for December, you'll hear me talk at length about Await Further Instructions. But honestly, go watch it first because I spoiled the shit out of it on that episode. So go check it out. Like I said, British flick. Johnny Kevorkian, by the way, is the director's name, which is a wild name as well. Anyway, okay. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is not a movie. So I left it for last because it's not necessarily on the same level as the other movies because it's not a full length movie. It's a TV episode. It is absolutely underappreciated. And frankly, this whole series is, I know this is going to sound stupid, but Tales from the Crypt is so fucking great. And I just don't like, everyone knows the Crypt Keeper. And it gets a lot of love, and you see people posting memes about the Crypt Keeper, and you're seeing, people talking about, the series and dumb little Crypt Keeper puns and stuff like that. Yeah, the Crypt Keeper is fantastic, but the series is genuinely great. Not all of them are masterpieces, but the thing I love about Tales from the Crypt as a series is it is just mean. And it ran for not as long, I think, as people think. Like, the original run was from 89 to 96. I think they tried to bring it back around several times after that. But some of these episodes are really tight, and they view like a film version of a short story, right? So they don't really feel like TV episodes. They feel like short films, right? And they were not predictable, and they were mean. Like they really would just go for it on shit. And so that's really what this one I'm about to talk about is. This is season 1, very first season, the second episode. This is the second episode ever of Tales from the Crypt, and they just nailed it with this one. It's called And All Through the House. So this actually aired in June of 1989. Weirdly enough, the Christmas episode aired in June. And maybe that's why people don't have as much of a nostalgic connection to it. I don't know. But it's, first of all, it's directed by Robert Zemeckis. First of all, which, I mean, like I said, he was, I guess, relatively early in his career, but not really. Like he had he had written on Back to the Future, and then, just a few years later, he's fucking directing, Forrest Gump. And shit like that. So, he's a legendary director, at this point, but, I guess not by that point, he wasn't necessarily a legendary director. He'd written on some really high profile things, but he was just getting his feet under him, I guess, as a director, perhaps around this time. Any case, he directed this episode, and it is exactly what you want from a Tales from the Crypt Christmas episode. It has all the hallmarks of the series. It is mean. It is nasty. It is, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. Of course, you get some fun little, Crypt Keeper puns and silliness at the beginning, but then you also get just intense, gratuitous violence from very early on. You get, I don't want to spoil it. You get some creepy shots too. Fun, creepy Santa peeking around and all this. It's fantastic. And the Santa, the quote unquote, creepy Santa you'll see is played by Larry Drake, which you may not know right away. When you see Larry Drake, or you hear the name Larry Drake, but if you see his face, you're going to recognize him right off the bat as Dr. Giggles. For horror fans of 90s schlock horror, you're going to know him as Dr. Giggles. But he was in L.A. Law, he was in Darkman, he was in a bunch of stuff. But Dr. Giggles is Santa, which is just Jesus Christ. He's so creepy in it. And then you have Mary Ellen Trainor as the kind of lead in it. And she is Mrs. Walsh in The Goonies. She's in Die Hard. She's in the Lethal Weapon franchise. She is just in an absolute ton of shit. Boy, she was in something else that's really big as well. Let me scroll down. I'm on the old IMDb. Oh, she was, she was briefly in Forrest Gump as well. But what I remember her most from as a kid is she was she was in Little Giants. I fucking loved the movie Little Giants when I was a kid. She was in Death Becomes Her. Like I said, Lethal Weapon. I think all the Lethal Weapons movies. She had just played a very small part in Ghostbusters 2. She played a small part, but a memorable part in Scrooged, Die Hard. I mean, she's got some freaking Christmas. She's got some real Christmas pedigree here as well. Look at some of these movies in here. And then she was look at that. Started out as one episode in Cheers. What a good place to start out. You'll recognize her right away. I mean, 80s, 90s mom in a million things. And she plays the like murderous wife. Not to spoil anything there. That's not spoiling anything, but check it out. I'm not going to spoil anything else about it. The other thing I will say about it broadly is it has absolutely supreme Christmas vibes. The first 3 minutes before shit really kicks off, it is so Christmassy. it's like this like house on a winter, Christmas Eve, Christmas decorations. I think they're playing the Christmas song. Nat King Cole, I believe, is the song that is, plays over the intro credits and leading up to the introductions to the characters. And just super Christmassy vibes, freaking cookies and milk out for Santa, the whole 9 yards. And then, like I said, shit starts popping off. It's tight. It's 22 minutes. It's a TV episode. But check it out. From 1989, season 1, episode 2, and all through the house of Tales of the Crypt. Okay. Those are the movies and that one last little TV episode that I talked about here. So just as a reminder, wrap up, if you're like, damn it, I don't remember the names of those movies. My non-horror picks I talked about: Just Friends, The Night Before, Christmas with the Cranks, and Surviving Christmas. Horror flicks, if you're about to find something you're searching out there and you want to remember what I was talking about: Rare Exports, Jack Frost, Santa's Sleigh. Guys, do it, for Christ's sakes. Christmas Bloody Christmas, Await Further Instructions, and then Tales from the Crypt episode, and all through the house. So hope that completes any gaps in your Christmas watch list, guys. We're progressing to the pinnacle of the holiday season here, guys. Steve's going to be joining you for a Minisode next time around. And that'll come out on Christmas Day, so you'll get a little present in your stocking for the boys and ghouls on Christmas Day. And then we'll take a week off, and we'll skip January the 1st, so New Year's Day, which is a Monday. We will not have an episode come out, but we are going to have a minisode come out on Christmas Day, and then and that works out really well because we have 5 Mondays in January. So we can take off that week between Christmas and New Year's. I know I'm taking some vacation, spend some time with the fam, got family coming into town. So we will skip that week of January the 1st, and then we'll come back, and then we'll have 4 episodes in January. So we'll actually do our showdown episode for January on the 8th, which is actually the second Monday in January. And just a reminder, we're doing Giallo January, guys. So get out there and give us those suggestions for Giallo flicks, because we're going to actually pick our selections. Steve's going to announce them on the next episode, myself, his, and the guests. So, all right, boys and ghouls, thank you for tuning in. Won't talk to you until after the holidays are over, but you can always engage with us on the social medias. Send me a DM. For those of you who are new, I run the Instagram. Steve does the Twitter, but we both, check in on both. So send us a note. Any suggestions for your favorite underappreciated or underwatched or underrated even Christmas movies, horror otherwise. That's always much appreciated. And hey, if I don't talk to you, have a happy holiday, a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, a Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever it is that you celebrate. We appreciate you, and we'll be back, and I'll be back with you in the new year. Steve will be joining you for a mini-sode coming out on Christmas Day. For the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Brian, and I'm Steve. All right, see you later. Bye.
I'm Brian and I like to pee and poop in my pants.